my name is Joseph Kim. I work for Eli Lilly and Company in their clinical development group. I'm also the host of Lilly's podcast, The Elixir Factor. It's a show about science, the stories that inspire innovation, and the resilience required to change history. I'm here to talk to you today about clinical trials, actually some of the myths around clinical research, one of which is if you try and get into clinical research, usually the clinical trial team will tell you you're not eligible, and that seems unfair. Now, while that might seem unfair to the individual patient, it's actually quite fair, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. So when we do research, we need to create pretty strict criteria as to who can be part of the trial or not. Not because we're trying to favor one group or another, but in order to test something fairly, you really need to have some strict criteria around who can join or not. So I'll give you an example to try and help you understand. Let's say I came up with an exercise routine called Joe Kim's exercise routine. And I was going to make a claim that this is better than diet and exercise, this is better than CrossFit or Zumba or whatever. And to prove that, I was going to test it head to head against something like that. And in order to do that, I have to enroll volunteers. And so let's say I didn't make any criteria around who could join. So I would take professional athletes, I would take people who've been on the couch for the last 10 years, I would take teenagers, the elderly, the sick, and the well, right? So let's say I invited all those people to be part of the head-to-head competition. Half of them went into my exercise routine, and the other half did Zumba and diet and exercise. And let's say after I tested the routine, all of my people, they lost 20 pounds, right? You could start to poke holes in that research because first you'd say, well, tell me who was part of that group that was in your exercise routine. Were these all athletes, or were these all the elderly, or were these people who haven't worked out at all in the last 10 years? And of course they're going to drop 20 pounds, right? An elite athlete, he or she's going to lose a pound or two because they're already at their peak performance. And certainly if I didn't take care to evenly distribute the different kinds of people, or worse, maybe I stacked the deck and put all of the people who haven't done exercise in 10 years into my routine and all the elite athletes into Zumba and diet exercise, hey, maybe those people actually gain weight and all of mine lose. So that wouldn't be too fair, would it? So what does that mean? Does that mean we have to look for, the specific kind of perfect patient who doesn't exist? No. I mean, oftentimes we as an industry create eligibility criteria that are not as realistic as we'd like, or as realistic as are prevalent in the world. So it is important for us to create a patient profile that we're looking for that actually is prevalent, right? So in other words, we don't want to be looking for men who ask for directions when they're lost, right? Those people don't exist. We want to look for men who often ignore their spouses and drive in circles until they get out of the forest. So anyway, my point is if we don't create strict criteria around who can enter into a specific trial, we're never going to know the truth about whether the drug actually works or doesn't work, or maybe it was the kind of people we enrolled. Because at the end of the day, I think the most unfair thing to the world would be to approve a potential medicine that actually doesn't work, or maybe worse, not approve a medicine that actually does work. And so this is all about experimental design and the kinds of patients we enroll in our studies. Hope that helps.